Good morning, everybody. I have 10:30. There's Diana. Good. Welcome to the first Basque meeting for this current academic year. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. Of course, please state your name before speaking for those of you that are not on the committee. If you could please keep your cameras off and your microphones muted unless you're speaking. Of course, anytime you need to address the chair, just either speak up, or the staff is also monitoring chat and the raise your hand feature. So either one of those will work as well. But if you need to speak, just let me know and I will recognize you. Today, I believe it's just Vice President Mendoza and myself. I'm sorry, so it's going to be kind of the Alicia Diana show today. We have a new board member that will be on the Academic Affairs Committee, but unfortunately she was not able to make it today. So I think we'll start by roll call, which should be pretty quick.
Right. Regent Johnston
I'm here.
and Regent Mendoza.
Present.
And that concludes roll.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Welcome.
All right, so first, of course, up is approval of minutes from our June 11th, 2025 meeting. And so I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
I second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Minutes are approved. So moving on to the first item that we have on the agenda, and that is a request for approval for a master's in computational biology. Provost Bickelmeyer, I know you're on, and so if you would go ahead, we would appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Regent Johnston. KU offers a doctoral program in computational biology with faculty expertise in the fields of structure prediction of proteins and protein complexes, molecular simulation, systems biology, genomics, protein design, and drug discovery. This doctoral program is the only program in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences that doesn't have the corresponding master's degree to let students stair step into that. And we are joined today by Professor Joanna Slesky, who's a core faculty member in the program, who will provide an overview for the rationale for us adding that master's. So, Joanna.
Hi, Joanna Slesky. Thanks for having me today, and thank you for introducing me. So as Provost Bickelmeyer said, computational biology is a highly interdisciplinary field. It uses computers to approximate physical features of large biological systems, and that allows us to design new proteins and small molecules for pharmaceuticals and agriculture. It is an extremely booming field right now. In fact, computational biology was just recognized with the 2024 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. And at KU, we have this computational biology program. It's a PhD program where we prepare students for careers in modern farm tech and biotech and ag tech. And we're teaching students how to incorporate the latest technology to make sense of the large and complex data to show how biology actually works and how we can manipulate it. The new and latest technology is, of course, artificial intelligence. And in the computational biology program, we're teaching students how to develop AI and use AI to better predict and design drugs and understand biological mechanisms. As Provost Bickelmeyer said, at KU, our PhD program typically takes about 5 or 6 years to complete, and we understand that some students finish their coursework, they realize that research isn't quite the path for them, and we want to make sure that these students receive the credentials that acknowledge what they've already accomplished, and this proposed master's would make that a possibility.
Thank you so much.
We'll stand for questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Regent Mendoza, have you got any questions?
I think the only question that I had is in regards to, I'm looking here at the expenditures and I was looking at the projected enrollment.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm trying to go back and find it. I reviewed this yesterday. I
And thanks for reading it so carefully.
just can't find it right now. Give me just a second. I believe it had said there was projected to be just one student enrolled. Is it per year or per semester for the next 3 years? There it is. Year one headcount implementation full-time one. Oh, I see. Sorry, the semester credit hour. Okay. Well, semester credit hours are 15, so we're just anticipating one individual perhaps per year enrolling in
We
this
take,
master's program.
so it really depends on the size of the faculty, and as that goes up and down, we can take more or fewer PhD students, which is a very intensive training process. And so currently, we're taking about 1 or 2 students a year.
Okay, so this is for students who they've completed their bachelor's. Their goal is PhD, but they're gonna, as they go through that, sorry, can you?
It turns out that in most science PhD programs, both at KU and countrywide, 10 to 15% of the students somewhere along the line, it's 5 years, 6 years, it's a long commitment. You learn things about yourself. You learn things about what you want and what the PhD is, and they do a bunch of coursework. They don't necessarily finish their whole thesis, but they've done something that is worth a real degree. And so like Provost Bickelmeyer said, all the other PhD programs in the College of Arts and Sciences, all the other computational biology programs that I know of, they have this ability to grant a credential that they've sort of already earned.
Okay, and that's kind of what you were, that's what you said a while ago, but I had this
Yeah.
question in my mind and was,
Yeah.
so, okay.
That's what's
Thank
going
you.
on.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions?
Is it fair to say, Provost Bickelmeyer, that because it's already it's going to be attached to the PhD program, that there aren't really any additional costs, just the faculty time invested in well, I guess they're already teaching those students, correct?
Yes. Yeah, so there's no new courses, there's no new resources, there's no anything. There may not be appropriate at this point in time, but there used to be a path that was called the stop out path.
Yeah.
And this is the stop out path that gives students that credential, to Joanna's point, to say you did something that actually is highly marketable and can get you a great job that pays well. You just aren't gonna finish a PhD. And so here's what we do with your coursework.
It seems like people used to go around saying ABD, but never had quite gotten the dissertation. So I think it's appropriate. I did see too that you were using existing faculty and that there would be existing resources. So I think that's good. If we have no further discussion, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
And I second. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank
Sorry
you.
about all this.
No, thank
It's
you
gonna
for
be
your
an
time.
interesting meeting.
It's kind of like Sesame Street. I don't know what's going on here. Okay. All right. Next up on the agenda is a request for approval for an AAS in food and feed manufacturing. Provost Mendez. I see Dee Mosier is here as well.
Yes, thank you, Regent Johnston. There's a follow-up conversation since last time that BOSC met, and so I will cede the floor to Dee Mosier.
Thank you, Provost Mendez and Dr. Johnston. So since we last met, we've had a couple of meetings with Cowley College. Those you may recall, Cowley, this program that we're proposing is an Associate Applied Science in feed and food manufacturing. Cali College does not have an associate's in this area at this time, but they do have certificate programs. And so we had a great conversation with them about how we might develop an articulation agreement so that students that complete the articulations at Cali could then apply those credits to the Associate of Applied Science. And so we have developed an articulation agreement and sent that to Cali for their review. Of course, it's not official until the program that we're proposing is fully approved. But we can, on their Certificate A, we can apply basically all of those credits as well as the General Education Core for the AAS. And so we see it's very much a 1+1. I think we show 36 credits from Cali, and the remainder of the credits from Kansas State could be applied in an articulation agreement.
Thank you, Dean Mosier. I appreciate that. Do we have any comments or discussion around this program, which I know is a bit unusual in terms of, a university asking for an AAS. I can't see everybody that's on, but President Schoen, are you? I assume you're participating. Would you like to say anything, Michelle?
Yes, so I am on. Thank you, Regent Johnston. So we did meet with K-State and had some discussion on the articulation. Their program, actually in our Cert B, we have more technical requirements than what their AAS has because they have the more gen ed requirements than what we have. A lot of our things transferred over on their articulation as electives. I guess we would like to have seen more course-to-course articulation, but the way their program is structured with a lot of 1 credit hour courses, it was a little more difficult to do what I would call a true, 1+1, just because of the structure of the course. Their program wasn't designed with that in mind. So trying to make stuff fit after the fact was a little more difficult, but I believe 17 credits of our technical courses based on articulation went over. The others were gen eds, which again aren't in our technical cert. So that's kind of where we're at. I know we're still in discussion on perhaps some of the we do have a couple that are our electromechanical technology courses that might be able to go into some of their manufacturing basics. We haven't gotten to that discussion yet, but that's where we're at. And we just got this last week, so we're still reviewing it on our end as well.
Okay.
But it is significantly different because of the way theirs are structured. And again, we've got more tech in our certs than they have in the AAS.
Thank you. I appreciate that input. Regent Mendoza, have you got any comments or thoughts?
I just appreciate the collaboration between the two institutions. I think it's important to provide students with those additional options. That way they have a choice as far as, where they decide to take those courses at. But the collaboration is essential too. So I just want to express my gratitude for that.
Thank you. Any other comments? For my part too, I appreciate the collaboration. I think that it's really important that we meet industry needs, as I know K-State has been, that's what they're responding to. And I think to do that, collaboration is really necessary, especially if we're going to meet the needs across the state. And the fact that we have a couple community colleges that offer this program. And so to be able to make sure that those students can get that hands-on applied work where they're at, and then be able to articulate that into a 60-hour associate degree, I think is really important. And so I do appreciate the work that both institutions put in to try to make this work, not only for industry, but also for the students. So I appreciate that. If there's no further comments, I will go ahead and make the motion as Diane and I have to go back and forth on this, but I would move for approval. I would like to see us when it moves to the full board to go to the discussion agenda as opposed to the consent agenda, because it is a little unusual in that university is asking for an AAS, and since there's just two of us, this way it all can weigh in. So that is my rather convoluted motion. Is there a second?
I would second that motion.
Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye and aye. So motion approved. Thank you to all, and thanks for the work that you all have put into this. All right, next up is a request to change the accreditation policy, and that would, of course, be Sam.
Good morning. Thanks, Regent Johnston. I would ask you guys to please refer to page 46 of the agenda, and I would ask Jennifer Box if she could please pull that up as well so that you can see the language changes as we're talking about them. This is a policy change request, and just as an FYI, I believe this request will end up going through governance as well before it goes to the full board. But for Basque, I will give some background. Last spring, Senate Bill 78 was passed, requiring several things. The first thing is it requires the governing body of each post-secondary educational institution to regularly review and update accreditation policies. It also prohibits accrediting agencies from compelling institutions to violate state laws. And the third thing is in two parts. By December 31st of this year, each governing body of a post-secondary educational institution shall A, identify the accrediting bodies eligible to accredit the institution. The bill specifies that these bodies must be recognized by the U.S. Department of Education. And then B, update the policies and practices on accreditation of the institution to ensure that it may freely pursue accreditation by any appropriate accrediting body per the bill. So we worked with legal folks in legal, to update the policy as appropriate. And we recommend that the text in strike through be removed and the underlined text be added to the policy. As you can see, the first change is to replace language indicating the institutions must maintain accredited status with a nationally recognized accrediting agency, with language specifying the institution can freely pursue accreditation by any accrediting agency or association that's recognized by the U.S. Department of Education in the database maintained by such department, and that is appropriate for the programs offered by the institution. The second change is again to remove the language referring to a nationally recognized accreditor and replace it with an accrediting agency or association that is recognized by the U.S. Department of Education in the database maintained by such department. So these two language changes are taken directly from the bill so that policy aligns, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Any discussion regarding this? Any thoughts, concerns? VP
Regent
McFarland?
Johnson.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I did have just a quick question. I guess do we know how many, if any, of our institutions will be affected by this policy change? Like, is that list changing that drastically that it may affect some of our institutions?
Well, it would free them up to seek accreditation from bodies other than HLC. All of our state universities are accredited by HLC right now. Historically, there are 6 regional accrediting bodies. Those lines were kind of removed, I think, back in 2020 to free up institutions to seek accreditation from other entities.
So rather than restrict them, it's opening up to maybe some more options.
Yes, that is
Okay.
my understanding.
Okay, thank
And
you.
just FYI, there is at the moment a 7th body, accrediting body that's in the process of being formed and creating its regulations and so forth. That's being done primarily from a number of universities in the SAC-COC region, the southern region. It is not in place yet, but it soon will be, and I have no doubt that it likely will be approved by the U.S. Department of Education.
That's interesting. And my understanding after visiting with Vice President Mulholland is that really the recommended changes are to align with Kansas statute. Is that correct,
Yes.
Rusty? Okay. So it's basically just aligning with what Kansas statute has said, and as Sam put, to basically free them up so they could choose another accrediting body if they so wished.
So yeah, it applies to all of our institutions, but the actual impact on them is going to be at their discretion. Do they want to go through the process of finding another accreditor, regional accreditor? I'm guessing, I don't know as much about this as probably I should, but many program accreditors, there aren't multiple program accreditors, so there's usually just one they can turn to for specific program accreditation.
Thank you for that information. Any further comments? I would entertain a motion for approval.
I would move to approve the change in the accreditation policy.
Thank you. I second. Any further discussion? If none, all those in approval say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion pass. All right, and so let's see, next on the agenda is just to receive a report on our accreditation. Program accreditation, I'm sorry, so third-party accreditation, whatever we call that, program accreditation. Sam.
You bet. Thank you. So this report starts on page 48. I won't ask Jennifer to pull it up because it's about 37 pages. But per KBOR policy, Academic Affairs is to provide a report on the accreditation status of the state universities and their accredited programs every 4 years. So this report covers both institutional accreditation and program accreditation. Program accreditation is specialized to, of course, the academic program or the unit housing it. For institutional accreditation, as we discussed, there have historically been 6 regional accrediting bodies in the United States. In 2020, the geographical boundaries were eliminated, but again, all of our state universities in Kansas are accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. The bulk of this report, though, is focused on the specific programs that are accredited by organizations based in academic disciplines and that are typically recognized by the Council for Higher Education Accreditation, though some programs are accredited by state regulatory agencies such as the Kansas State Department of Education or the Kansas State Board of Nursing. This report covers accreditation status as of last year, so 2024. And as explained in the report, some accreditations are at the unit level, whereas others are at the program level. But for the purposes of this report, we show each program by SIP and award level in a similar way to how we view the programs in the program review reports. And if you want, you can go through the entire report, but I was planning to just give some high-level highlights that are bulleted for you starting on page 48 of the agenda. So as of December 2024, Emporia State reported 38 programs that are accredited. About 2/3 of those are in one of 3 schools at ESU, the School of Applied Health Sciences, the Teachers College, and the School of Science and Mathematics, with the largest number, 9, being in the School of Applied Health Sciences. Fort Hays State reports 20 different accredited programs. 3/4 of those fall into one of 2 schools, with 8 in the College of Health and Behavioral Sciences and 7 in the College of Education. Kansas State University reports 58 accredited programs. 11 of those are within the College of Arts and Sciences. 10 are in either the College of Engineering or the College of Technology and Aviation, and all of those are accredited by the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology, or ABET. Pittsburgh State University reports 38 accredited programs. 9 of them are in the College of Arts and Sciences, 9 in the College of Education, and 6 from the College of Technology. These 6 have full accreditation from ABET as well. KU reports 64 accredited programs. 15 are in the School of Education and Human Sciences. 11 that have full accreditation by ABET fall within one of 3 units: the School of Engineering, the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, or the School of Professional Studies. The KU Medical Center reports 23 programs that are accredited. They also have a supplemental report on pages 76 and 77, indicating there are 64 residency and fellowship programs accredited or approved on the Kansas City campus, and 13 through the Wichita campus. And finally, Wichita State reports 61 accredited programs, 11 of which are in the College of Applied Studies, 10 in the College of Health Professions, and 9 in the School of Engineering, which are also fully accredited by ABET. One thing I would like to add is that this report got a lot easier to do when our Data Research and Planning Unit added the accreditation data elements to KBOR's program inventory as a part of their work with Credential Engine about 6 years ago. So now all of this information on the report is stored in our program inventory database, and it's maintained by each institution. So I would like to thank Cindy Ferrier and Nathan Snyder and other DRP folks for their work, as well as institutional research staff at the universities who maintain all of that information. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Samantha. That it's a great report, and I'm glad that it's easier to do now, and appreciate the data staff being able to do that, as well as the institutions being able to keep that themselves. I think that I appreciate all of our institutions for doing these. It gives us a lot of credibility when we have those individual program accreditations. But I do know that it's a whole lot of work, and they can be pretty prescriptive, and many times it is rather it's a heavy lift sometimes to be able to meet the criteria of those outside accreditors. And so I greatly appreciate our institutions doing it. I appreciated the report, and it's interesting to see we have so many program accreditors, but it certainly adds to the credibility and the quality of what we're doing, I think. So I appreciate all the work that goes into it. I can't imagine how much it really is. So do we have any concerns, any topics you'd like to talk about in terms of accreditation, Regent Mendoza, or others? I can't hear you, Diana, but I think you're saying no.
Yeah, I do not. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right. Thank you so much. I guess we probably do need approval for the report. Would that be correct? Right. VP?
Yes.
Okay. So I would move that we accept the report and approve it if approval is needed. Second?
I would second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so now we are going to move on. We have no discussion agenda items, but for other matters, we do have the reduced credit baccalaureate degree, which we have talked about previously, and I believe that staff is going to visit with us about that. VP Monholland?
Thank you, Chair Johnston. As you mentioned earlier this year, we shared information with the board about a growing trend across the nation, that of the reduced credit baccalaureate degree. These are degrees that require fewer than the standard 120 credit hours for most bachelor's degree, usually falling somewhere between 90 or 95 credits. Proponents of the degree argue they are cost efficient and are aligned with skill demands Opponents contend that they are not widely recognized and lack the breadth and depth of knowledge of traditional bachelor's degree. Kansas State University has submitted a proposal for a reduced credit bachelor's degree, one in uncrewed aircraft systems for delivery at the Salina campus. We have not brought this forward through the approval process because we think there are several issues that must be addressed first. I'm thinking back to earlier this year when we discussed this in Basque, and I believe the charge to academic affairs staff was that we need to have a policy in place before we would consider approval of any reduced credit bachelor's degree, and that you directed staff to take steps to begin doing that. One issue, I think, is that our current board policy requires or defines bachelor's degrees as requiring at least 120 credits a study. We've talked it over internally and believe that even though it's a reduced credit bachelor's degree, it's still technically a bachelor's degree. The reduced credit adjective doesn't necessarily change that. One could argue, I guess, that this degree is different and thus the 120 credit minimum does not apply. But even if that is the case, we don't have a policy specifically for this kind of degree. We think the best course of action is to first address the policy implications before considering a proposal for an RCBD. That's a little easier to say than reduced credit bachelor's degree, but I'm not sure it's the best nomenclature. We'll just have to muddle along with that. K-State has asked that the policy be waived so that the proposal can move forward. That's not a decision that staff can make, and so that's part of what our conversation, I think, this morning needs to entail. One, does the board believe reduced credit bachelor's degrees have value, and our institution should have the opportunity to offer them? Of course, if our answer, the board says, no, we don't believe that, this is a brief conversation and we can move on. If it is yes, we need to revise our policies to make room for this degree. And we need to determine what parameters should we put around a reduced credit bachelor's degree. Will it have the full complement of general education courses that other degrees have? What about math and English pathways as well? How will that apply? And there's some other questions as well that would go into shaping this policy. We also need to consider K-State's request to waive the policy. I'm kind of putting the question to BASS, the committee, is it open to waiving the policy in this instance? And is this a decision that the full board might also agree upon? So I think that's all I've tried to hit the high points of what we're talking about here. My sense is this is certainly it's growing. The reduced credit bachelor's degree is beginning to proliferate. I know Missouri is offering one. I believe Oklahoma is as well. I've heard kind of informally from colleagues and friends across the country that their states are also considering them. Utah has one, Idaho through Brigham Young University, Arizona. The list is getting quite lengthy now. I'm opening this up for discussion and perhaps recommendations from Basque back to the academic affairs team of what we should do and what our next steps should be around this type of degree.
Thank you, Vice President Monholland. So we will open it up for discussion. Start first with Regent Mendoza, if you have comments or thoughts.
Yeah, so I know when this topic was first brought up early, I don't know if it was earlier this year or last year, but I know there were several institutions or individuals from institutions that voiced interest in this type of degree. So I think especially if other states are moving towards that, my personal thought is that we should consider how to create this type of degree within our system. I guess my question would be, if we were to, what are the implications of us waiving the policy at this point? Like, I feel like there needs to be a policy in place, but how does that hold this program back if we do that? But also, what are the implications if we approve it without the policy in place yet? So I guess I just have more questions than answers.
I can't speak to how if the board does not waive the policy, how that might impact K-State's proposal. I'm sure Provost Mendez might be able to weigh in on that. I will say from kind of a high-level view, looking at it from a state policy perspective, that I don't think it's a good practice to waive policy. If you waive policy, then you really don't have a policy. I don't think there's, I think it's a very strong proposal from K-State. It addresses a number of needs, but I just don't believe we have in place, the kind of the guardrails around, what actually will constitute in Kansas a reduced credit bachelor's degree. What are, some of those questions I raised earlier around gen ed, math pathways, English, et cetera, need to be answered. I think it also needs to address, we need to think about, I would guess many of our community colleges may have interest in offering this kind of degree as well. And so we may have to think about the implications of that and how does our policy allow for that. I believe that community colleges can't offer bachelor's degree unless there is approval from the board. So we would need to work through that as well. So it would be my recommendation that we draft a policy, that we put a policy in place and move as quickly as we can. But before we would approve or review and consider the proposal, that policy structure be in place.
Thank you, Vice President Monholland. I think there is a whole lot to consider here, and it's going to have large implications. I do agree that K-State has a strong proposal out there, but I think, Vice President Monholland, you're correct. If it works with Regent Mendoza, possibly we could recommend to the full board that staff develop a policy around the reduced credit hour bachelor's degree, and that they expedite that so we don't hold up any programs any more than we have to, but at the same time being cognitive of the fact that there's going to be a lot of implications in terms of, you know, the institutions that will be wanting to do this. I think that it will be valuable, but I think that there definitely needs to be some guardrails, or maybe not guardrails, but at least be able to lay out some ways that we can do this appropriately that meets the needs not only of our students, but of industry. And so if Regent Mendoza, does that work for you, for us to suggest or to recommend to the full board that KBOR staff develop the policy?
Yes, that works for me.
Okay, well, shall we use that as a motion then? So I would move that we make that recommendation to the full board that KBOR staff develop a policy around the reduced credit hour baccalaureate degree as quickly as possible, as so not to hold up any of the programs that we have, the strong program, like we said, that K-State has put forward.
Johnson?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
just, you know, if I just say before we vote on writing recommendations, you know, this is so new. HLC approved this literally this time last year. There was a presentation done before the board, late fall, early spring, about how there's not, you know, introducing this idea about reduced hour degrees. We've heard that call. We have worked very meticulously with our shared governance system here to put this together. I do realize, you know, waivers are kind of scary, but there have been waivers in the past with other operations of KBOR. And so what I do get concerned about is putting a pause on this. And then once again, we're you know, having other states, once again, we have this one opportunity to get ahead of other states, and in putting a pause on this, having other states catch up with this. And I just worry about, you know, losing this advantage over other states to get involved in this endeavor. And once again, K-State, we're willing to be the guinea pigs in this and use this as a case study to figure this out. And we do have a bunch of other ideas we'd like to implement along this line as well. We're not interested in breaking any state laws or policies, but, you know, I think experimentation does require a little bit of boldness as well. So just wanted to offer that.
I appreciate that, Jesse. I don't think it's a jailable offense, but you know, I completely understand what you're saying. You know, it could be that the full board would decide to waive the policy, but I do think that given the gravity of this, for BASC just to say, you know, we're going to waive that, I think that might be, I'm not willing to go that far, even though I certainly appreciate the work that you have done. But I mean, possibly we could amend the recommendation that that staff develop a policy, and in the meantime, you know, it would be up to the board to whether they waive that policy. Is that even possible, VP Monholland?
Yeah, and I would agree that this is probably not a decision. I don't think BASC can act on behalf of the full board, and so waiving the policy would require a presentation and a discussion, I think, with the board. I think that would be the proper place to do it. We can kind of create an issue paper and have this conversation in full session with the board here in 2 weeks.
If I could raise a point of order, though, is there a way we could have it on the COCO agenda, at least as far as that's going on next month, and continue to have it up there, and then y'all decide what that process is, just to keep things going?
I think we could, Provost Mendez. I will double check. That would be the normal order of the process. So COCO could,
doesn't it
have the first reading, we could move forward with it in that regard, and hopefully, yeah, I unless legal or someone tells me otherwise, Jesse, I'll see that it's on the COCO agenda for 2 weeks.
And this is the second year I've been in the state, so I'm still playing the newbie card. And so my general understanding is it goes before, all roads go back to BOSC, right? It goes through COCO, goes through several readings, then it comes back to this group overall. And so it would make, I just want to make sure, I didn't want to run afoul of anything, if it would be fine with the regions here if we put, assuming that everything's legal, once again, that wouldn't be jailed for anything, for it to be presented at COCO and then have that system continue on. So in the case that we can have our day in court with the full region board, it sets us up to at least kind of line things up. What I worry about is getting approval from HLC, and this can last anywhere from 6 months to 8 months overall. So even if all went well, we're looking at implementation as far as in fall 2026. So once again, I'm concerned about the footing and the timing as we go forward.
It's a perfectly reasonable request, and I think one that doesn't create any problems on our end. It requires the board approval, so I don't think moving it through the process creates any problems that I'm aware of. So pending someone telling me otherwise, Jesse, I'll make sure that it's on the agenda for the September 17th COCO meeting.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Regent Johnston, I do like that idea of moving it to the full board. I'm not comfortable with just the two of us
Yeah, I agree.
making this decision right now. So again, just to reiterate, I do think it's something we need to look at. I do think it has its benefits, being, that many other states are moving towards this type of program in some areas. So we definitely need to look at it. It's just the waiving of policy. I think that needs to be looked at by the entire board. So.
All right, so if acceptable, I will amend my motion, which I'm not sure I completely got the motion out there, but so maybe it's just a restating of the motion. We will recommend BAS will recommend to the full board to have KBOR staff develop a policy concerning the reduced credit hour baccalaureate degree, and also consider waiving the current policy for the acceptance of the uncrewed aircraft system program that K-State has put forward. Does that work?
I would second.
Any further discussion? Anybody else want to weigh in on this? Thank you. Thank you for all the work that everybody's put into this. Thank you to VP Mulholland and his staff, to Provost Mendoza and your folks, because I know that a lot of work has already gone into this, and hopefully we will see some success with this program, and it won't take too much time. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. All right, that brings us to tenure, post-tenure, and workload policies. VP Mulholland.
Thank you. In speaking of policy, I'm really pleased to give this update on our review of the board's tenure, post-tenure, and workload policies, which BASC had directed academic affairs staff to do earlier this year. These policies were discussed at the July board retreat. There was no vote taken, but there did seem to be a consensus that the board wanted to, quote, strengthen these policies in order to protect and preserve tenure. So with that focus in mind, soon after the retreat, I met with the provost and the faculty senate presidents of each of our universities in the medical center. We discussed the board's motivation for reviewing the policies now, what we hoped to achieve from a review and possible revision, and how we should proceed moving forward. One of the things that came out of that conversation was to look at the workload policy first. It is actually a pretty thin policy as it stands right now. with the idea that if we beef that up, strengthen that up, then we could address maybe some other aspects of tenure and post-tenure later on. So staff drafted a revised version of the workload policy based on research we had done of other states and other systems. We identified specific elements that we found were common to many systems that are comparable to KBOR, and many of those are incorporated into the draft. We also came across other elements that we believed would help strengthen KBOR's workload policy and achieve the goals that the board kind of set for us of protecting tenure. The first draft, the revised draft, was sent to the provost for review and comment. Based on their feedback, we made a few revisions, a few edits. And then on August 22nd, we sent a second revised version, what I refer to as version 1.1, to the provost and the faculty senate presidents for comment. I asked that they provide responses back to me by September 5th, which is 2 days from now. Along with the revised workload policy, we also shared with the provost and faculty senate presidents a few minor changes to the tenure and post-tenure policies, primarily the addition of an annual reporting requirement for both. After we received the feedback from the provost and the faculty senate presidents on version 1.1, we'll make appropriate revisions to the draft. We'll send that version back to the provost and faculty senate presidents for review before the September 17th board meeting. On that date, I'm asking the provost and the faculty senate presidents that we'll all meet together to kind of take stock of where we are with the policy. And hopefully we'll be at a place then after several iterations of the policy and gathering feedback from all the institutions, both from the provost's side and from the faculty senate side. We'll schedule a meeting for BASC to review the document in October. Remember, there is no board meeting scheduled in October, but we have a virtual meeting for BASC scheduled if needed. So we'll kind of keep that open. If BASC approve, we can then send it on to the board for its review and possible approval. That would likely take place at the November meeting. So that's where things stand right now. I've been very pleased with the feedback we've been receiving and some of the changes we've been addressing. We've got some work yet to do, but I'm very pleased with the direction we're headed and some of the additions that I think will have a good opportunity to protect tenure, which is going to be a really essential effort to ensure the viability of our institutions.
Thank you, VP Monholland. And thank you to everybody that's already worked so hard on this. I think that this is a real opportunity to take a look at the policy and see if there is improvement and available, and to take a look at some of the workload stuff. I like the report back, and so we can that way be able to, I guess, be accountable for some of the things. I think there's a lot of misunderstandings around tenure and post-tenure, and I believe this is a good opportunity to be able to clear up some of those misunderstandings that some people may have, and to also, like I said, be able to take a look and improve any sort of policy issues that we may be able to look at. Any other, Diana, you want to weigh in on this? Regent Mendoza?
No, just to kind of reiterate your comments about all the work that's gone into this, and I just appreciate the work that's been done.
Thank you. All right, so we will move on unless anybody has anything else that they want to talk about around the tenure policy. Anybody? Okay, we're in a little bit of a time frame. Diane and I have another meeting at 11:30, but I think we're going to make it. Academic affairs update.
Regent Johnston, why don't we, since we're so close to 11:30, why don't we just hold those updates until September 17th meeting?
Okay, that will be good. Saying that then, remember that the September 17th meeting will be in Topeka, of course, at the Curtis Building. I believe it's at 10:45. And I think at that time, I thought about having everybody introduce themselves today, but that's too difficult on Zoom. And, you know, I get a D- in technology. I didn't think that was going to be possible. So we will wait for that. But if there's no other matters to come before Basque today, I would move that we adjourn.
I would second.
All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. We will see you hopefully in Topeka.
Thank you.